Hello, Korean audience. I'm thrilled to be here. Yeah, Xanadont is a musical that where the world that takes place in Hartsville, USA, small little wholesome Midwestern town where the world is upside down, where everyone is gay and being heterosexual is abnormal. In this world, there's a magical matchmaker named Xana who goes around making people fall in love. During the course of the show, we discover that two of the characters end up falling in love when in the town it's not really accepted that they be together. So that's the basic premise. It's actually very random. I guess the stars aligned for me to come here. The original producer of the off-Broadway production is friends with one of the producers in Korea, and they were looking for someone to direct it, and he recommended me, and we ended up connecting that way. And Korea has a huge reputation for loving musical theater and musical theater thriving here. So I was eager to be part of it, and I've had a lot of colleagues that have worked here and just loved it. So I jumped at the opportunity, and my schedule allowed it as well, which was great. So yeah, that's sort of how it happened. I have not really revisited Xana since the original production 6 years ago. And so I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to come back to the piece and also do it in a much bigger production with a bigger cast, with a bigger budget and a bigger theater. And I think it's the new and improved Xanadont. And how I feel about it, I'm thrilled to be here. I love traveling, and I have loved working with this company, from the actors to the whole creative team to the producers. Everyone's been really exceptional, and just has been a positive experience all around. Well, first of all, the cast is bigger. We have an ensemble of 4. It was originally 8 in New York, and now it's 12, which is fantastic, because we had a lot of doubling of characters in New York. It's a much bigger theater and a much more elaborate set. It's a whole new design. And so that's very exciting. There's all sorts of new high-tech things in the show. So it was basically sort of fleshing out and expanding what we already had in New York, and just more of it, and more just going further with it. One of the things approaching it, coming here, was the translation. Because Xanadont is very specifically about America and American pop culture, and it has a lot of jokes that I think some jokes anyway, that only Americans would get. So with the translator, we had to find the best solution so that a Korean audience would understand it, and it would be as equally as enjoyable to them as it was to an American audience. So. But it was really important to me to maintain the integrity of the show as best I could, because yes, the message of the musical is universal, but the story definitely takes place in an American town where certain issues are very common. This cast is unbelievably talented, and I was very, I've been telling a lot of people that in New York, my cast was exceptionally talented too, and they were all very up-and-coming actors who were all just sort of just about to break out, and Xanadont kind of put them on the map, because the show is a great showcase it's a real ensemble piece and showcases all the actors. And when it opened off Broadway, after that, all those actors their careers took off. J. Rodriguez got Queer Eye from it, and everyone else, was in Broadway and films and doing this, that, and the other. So I was very proud of them. And I have the same feeling about this cast. They all are young, eager, very talented actors who are just at the edge of becoming big. So I think the audience is going to really see some exceptional performances. They're something else and really hardworking and just such a joy to be around. So it's been terrific. Actually, there are. Sun is an extraordinary actress and singer. I'm like a little blown away. Actually, I was emailing a very good friend of mine who's a Broadway musical director, and the woman who played it, her role in New York was exceptional. And I had my doubts coming to Korea that I could find anyone to replace this woman, who I'm a huge fan of and has a huge career in New York. And Sun is that. She gives this girl in New York a run for her money. So she's one of the people I'd love to take. But really, I mean, the whole cast is really quite exceptional, and I think if you're going to compare New York actors to them, they can hold their own up against them. You know, they're so unique, and I think the design team is extraordinary. I mean, besides the cast, I think when you see the set and the costumes, I think, and lighting and sound, I would love to take them all with me to New York, to Broadway. Absolutely. I mean, I think actually that's the magic of the piece, that on the surface it seems like a kind of light, fluffy entertainment that's really enjoyable and you go to have a good time, but it's very moving and I think surprisingly so. Even after all these years knowing the show, I still have a real visceral emotional reaction to it at certain scenes because you don't expect it to move you, and it definitely has a strong message. I mean, you know, it's about tolerance and diversity and loving one another and accepting people for who they are. And I guess my ultimate hope is that, you know, audiences will come and go out and be nicer to each other, basically. I had a very diverse career as a performer. I actually wasn't just an actor. I started out as a ballet dancer, a professional ballet dancer when I was a teenager. And when I was even younger, I was a boy soprano in the opera. I sang professionally. And then I moved to New York and became a professional actor and did many shows. I did Cats and King and I and Miss Saigon and A Chorus Line and West Side Story. I guess all the classics. And then I performed on Broadway for like 10 years straight, and then I transitioned into directing and choreography, and I have done a lot of different stuff. I love working on new musicals. I tend not to like to direct shows that have already been done. I like to work with the writers from the ground up, helping develop, like I did with Xanadu, and I have with I've directed a concert version of Hair and Dreamgirls and Funny Girl and choreographed many shows off Broadway and in the regions. Actually directing a brand new production of Rent coming up in the States. It's the first time they're letting someone do a new version of it because it just closed on Broadway. So I'm very excited about that and a little nervous because it's known so well, and you know, it's a classic, so it might be sacrilege to play with it or reinterpret it. I don't know why. That's actually Monday when I get back to New York. I have to get to work on that. We're just starting casting now. I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, for me, the show is already a little dated. It's already a period piece. It's a piece that came out in the late 90s, and it's very specific to that time and what was going on in the world politically, and AIDS had just come out. People didn't know a lot about AIDS, and the East Village was a completely different place than it is now. So I'm interested in looking at through those eyes, that we're looking at it as a timepiece and how that time relates to now. I would like it to be more environmental. The theater we're in is almost in the round, so you'll feel like you're in the show as opposed to watching it, hopefully. And I believe we're having a much bigger cast. We're having like the whole East Village populated by lots of young artists. So those are some things that I'm hoping for, but it's all very much up in the air. So those are just ideas that are spinning in my head. You know, I would love to have a hit Broadway show and win a Tony Award and all those lovely things. But honestly, I just would love to keep working. It's very sad because this musical theater is a dying art form, and I'm counting on Korea to keep it alive. The economy has really killed it in New York, and so musicals and theater in general is hard to produce. Producers aren't backing it. So I guess my dream would just to be continue to do what I do and keep it alive and to really do new innovative pieces. And you know, I love the classics, but I really think we need more new stuff. I don't have any burning desire to act anymore. I had a very full career. I'll never say never. You know, maybe one day I'll get drawn back to the stage. I've actually been asked to come do a bunch of shows, and I feel like directing and choreography is really what I'm meant to do, and I love it, and I think I'm good at it. Plans for the future? I don't know. I have a lot of shows that I'm working on with writers that are in development, new musicals that we're trying to get produced. So maybe Korea will like to produce them. But I like to work with new writers, developing new work. So ultimately I would like to continue doing what I'm doing and direct and choreograph musicals that go to Broadway and come to Korea. And now that musical films are taking off again and they've become popular again, I would love to actually direct a musical film. So those are all dreams and hopefully will happen sometime soon. You know, as this business is, it's so random and you just never know quite where your career is going to go. So I'm open to it all.
마이크 선수에게 체크입니다. 마이크 선수 혼란스러운 것 같은데요.
마이크 화이팅!
집중 안 되겠다. 집중이 안 되나 보네요.
뭐하냐?
마이크 싱어 선수 이렇게 멀어지나요?
지금 장난해요? 그것밖에 안 돼. 그렇지 않잖아. 벌써 잊어버렸네. 그 샤워 하나 풍뎅이를
이렇게 응원한 거 맞아?
내 말이 풍뎅이 파워로